Welcome to the Remembering and Understanding iPad app video. I'm going to review what these levels of Bloom's taxonomy are and then include some tutorials on suggested applications for different content areas. Remembering and understanding are the lower two levels of Bloom's taxonomy and are often referred to as lower level thinking skills. That's because students aren't necessarily required to use as much creative and critical thinking. Even though they're at the bottom of the pyramid, that doesn't mean they aren't important. When students remember, they are retrieving, recognizing, and recalling information. This is often rote memory facts like multiplication facts, grammar rules, or factual information. When students are understanding, they are constructing meaning from visual and written information through interpreting and summarizing. Here, students are gaining new information and are trying to process how it works. There is an abundance of iPad apps for these two levels. Some good indicator criteria are when students are asked to define information, name facts, recite information, locate information, and describe information. For those of you who are still skeptical on how to use this type of app in your classroom, here are some suggestions on how to transition your traditional routine to an engaging lesson with technology. Instead of using dictionaries, encyclopedias, and thesauruses, you can do all of these things through apps on the iPad. They are often more engaging and give more up-to-date information. Students are going to be more interested in looking up the information as well. Instead of telling students facts and information, allow them to explore different research apps themselves. This puts students in control of their own learning and allows them to be accountable for what they're looking up. They are more likely to develop an interest in what they're learning, which will also help. Instead of drill worksheets, which are pretty boring, allow students to play games which still drill facts, but in a more interactive and engaging way. A lot of game apps have different difficulty levels which help differentiate and also reduce boredom and frustration. Students will be begging you to take out the iPads to practice facts or learn information and will remember and understand. Alright, let's look at some apps that we can use for remembering and understanding. For language arts, one of my favorite apps is the Spelling City app. Similar to a lot of other apps, this is based off a website and is accessible through the mobile app as well. On Spelling City, students can create their own word lists, explore other word lists already created, or study word lists that their teacher has put together for them. I already went ahead and put together the spelling lists that correlate with our reading lessons, so in a minute I'm going to show you what that looks like. This app is free, which is always a great quality, and it also has the potential to be an application app because students can apply their spelling through practicing on games. I want to be clear that the apps shown here only shine in their respective Bloom's category, but that doesn't mean they don't include other Bloom's levels as well. It really depends on what you're asking the student to do with the app that determines the level of thinking. So what you see right now is my iPad screen. I'm using something called Reflector to basically reflect what is going on my iPad onto my computer. It was $12.99. I downloaded it onto my computer, and it's a great teaching tool. I'm capturing my image through Screencast-O-Matic, and then I'm going to insert it into my iMovie. So I'm going to go on over to my Remembering and Understanding folder, and I'm going to click on the Spelling City app. And what you see is my homepage since I have an account through Spelling City. On the left, there are all of the spelling lists that I've already created, which match our curriculum. And on the right, there are different activities and games for the students to work with. So if I choose Lesson 5, the school news, and I'm going to click Spelling Teach Me. And this is a list of the words. It's going to say the word and give it to me in a sentence, kind of like teaching me.
Clock, C-L-O-C-K, clock. The wall clock says it is time for lunch. Clock.
This is definitely great for visual and auditory learners because they can not only see how the word is being spelled, but they can also hear it. So you can go through the list and learn the words, and then you can work on a spelling test where you're going to have to spell the words.
Clock. The wall clock says it is time for lunch.
So the student would type in the word,
Drink. I drink milk and orange juice with breakfast. Drink.
and it would go through all of the words, and at the end it would let them know how many they got right and how many they got wrong, which could also help them practice. Like I said, there are definitely some elements of application in this where students are applying what they've learned. There are different games like Alphabetize where the students would alphabetize their list, again working on other skills other than just spelling. And overall, Spelling City has a lot of benefits for learning spelling words and learning new words, and it's a great tool to use on the iPads. A great app I found for math and specifically teaching multiplication is called App Tutor MT, Multiplication Tables. This is an appetizer app where students get a taste for what the full app has to offer, but I think it's just fine on its own. Plus, who can pass up a free app? What's nice about this is that the app does a nice job of teaching and explaining and then allows for student practice. Let's see what it looks like. I feel like I'm always looking for multiplication apps because learning the multiplication facts is not something that's worked into my school's curriculum. A lot of what we're supposed to do is show how multiplication works, but the students don't necessarily learn their facts. So I think that any practice they get is great. With the App Tutor app, they get to this screen and they press Start, and you can choose to learn, try, or even print worksheets. So if I click over to Learn Multiplication Tables, it's going to run me through a lesson.
Arrays. Listen for these important words. Arrays. Multiplication table. Another useful strategy to utilize when multiplying is an array. An array is a rectangular pattern of items arranged in equal columns and rows.
What's nice is this does a quick little lesson. The students have the option of a scratch pad where they can write on the screen, which also engages them. And it goes through examples.
Working with an array, we show the first factor. By filling in all the numbers in an array, we get a multiplication table.
Through the lesson, they're able to learn interesting and important things they need to know to try the multiplication tables.
Welcome to the App Tutor Interactive Multiplication Table. Here you will experience how two factors multiplied together produce a product. Drag your finger around the table and watch it come to life. Release your finger to select the product. Let's get started.
I like that this app has very clear directions and it's easy to follow, especially for kids. What's nice too is that they're able to physically drag their fingers to get the right answer. They're able to see how this works, and they're also able to see that they can do it. Overall, I think this is a really engaging and fun app and also a great way to learn multiplication facts. For science, I found a great app called Meet the Insects, Water and Grass Edition. It was $3.99, but definitely well worth it. There are other versions of this app with different habitats and different insects, so you could change it up depending on what you're teaching. You're going to see how much information is in this app and how students can remember and understand a lot of that information. I'm going to go ahead and click on Meet the Insects, and it's going to bring you to a page where you can choose a whole bunch of options. If you click on See Insects, it allows you to see the bugs in their natural habitat. You can see different kinds of insects, and you can also learn about them by clicking on them.
Black-winged jewel-wing. The male wings are a black color. The thorax and abdomen are a glossy, dark green color.
I like that the app reads to the students in case it's above their reading level, but still gives them really good content information. You can also look at pictures and video. There's also some interesting facts.
I may look like a ghost, but don't be afraid. The black-winged jewel-wing looks like a black ghost fluttering its wings slowly through the air at night.
This provides a lot of great, interesting information. The students can then learn about all the different kinds of insects. Back to the home page, the students can also look at the multimedia on its own through the different photos and or videos. And they can also look at an insect story.
They live in water and grass. Insects live near the water and in grasslands. Shall we take a look at which insects' friends live near here?
What's great is that this app is giving students a lot of information in different ways. They can also take different quizzes, and they can do it with pictures. And they can also write in a journal, which is kind of fun, an observation journal. So this kind of integrates different subject areas, which is great. So overall, definitely a lot of great information in this app. For social studies, I found an app called State Bingo and Road Trip US, and this is actually 2 games in 1. When you win a round of either game, you gain a state, and the goal is to get all the states. There's definitely some motivation in this game, which makes it more fun. It was $2.99, which is a steal for basically 2 apps in 1. There are different difficulty levels, which helps differentiate. Let's see what it looks like. So this is State Bingo and Road Trip US. If you click on State Bingo, you can choose the difficulty level depending on the student's need. And then you basically have to answer the questions and try to get bingo. So if you weren't sure on an answer, you could also go to a map and you could try to see if you could find it and pick an answer. So if you get a question wrong, it tells you. And the goal is to try to get bingo, and then if you do and you win a state, then you can eventually try to win all of the states. Another game you can play is Road Trip US, which again you can pick the difficulty level, and then you get to pick which trip you want to take. So I got to choose which state I'm trying for, and then if I answer a question and get it correct, I move to that city, to that state. If you get it wrong, then it won't let you go. This is a lot of factual information which students will be interested in trying to win the game. So those are just 4 of the many different remembering and understanding apps that can be used in the classroom. Another quick way I wanted to show you to find apps is actually through the App Store. And if you click on Genius, what Apple does is it'll say, because you bought this app, maybe you're interested in this app. So if you take a look real quick, it says, based on Geoboard, the Math Learning Center, you should get teaching number lines. So you can kind of look for some similar apps. Here's the app tutor, and that can also help you find apps. Good luck!